All right, there we go. Should be recording through the mic. Well,
okay.
What is it? So, hello. Thank you so much, Paul Miller, for coming out here.
Yeah, not a problem.
So, let's just get into the basic questions. So, you're just the average blue-collar, everyday worker. You're an electrician. What made you decide that you had to run for Congress?
Well, it all started probably like a year and a half ago, probably. And I was actually going to run against Mitt Romney because...
Oh, for the Senate?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because I was listening to Sean Hannity, and I'm not a big Sean Hannity fan, but, I listen to him from time to time. And he was, Mitt Romney was in the news, and it was like, there's somebody in Utah that has to be better than Mitt Romney, a deep red state,
I know.
And it seemed like nobody was stepping up. And so, and Trent Staggs had stepped up kind of at the same time when I was starting an online social media campaign, to get my name out there, because I'm a nobody, And then by the time, and that was in April or so, and then by the time September hits, at the end of September, Mitt Romney says he's not going to run for re-election.
Okay, yeah.
And Trent Staggs had already had several endorsements in his favor, and he looked like a really strong candidate. And so I was asked, by other people online, hey, can you please not seek the Senate?
Okay.
Go for a representative, because and so I was like, yeah, not a problem. And so why not go for the guy in your district, right?
I know.
And so, because there's a lot of change that that we need in Utah, and so I went against Blake Moore, and I think I got a little bit more than I bargained for, researching everything, but it's all paid off in the end, and it's not it's not something that I want to do. I'm not going to Washington because I want to. I hate the city. I don't want to live in the city, No,
I understand.
I'm more of the country boy, rural, guy,
But you just felt that somebody needed to actually represent the people of Utah and your district. The current elected people, they don't care.
Yeah, and we're losing our country. And so it's getting to a point where we're going to have to make sacrifices. We're going to have to step up. And because if we're not willing to get engaged, our government will just run rampant and run amok. And
it's not even just that. We're $35 trillion in debt, adding another trillion every 100 days. And from what RFK Jr. was saying, if this trend continues, in 5 years, 50% of all tax revenue will be going to just pay the interest off on the debt. In 10 years, it'll be 100% of our tax revenue just paying the interest on the debt.
Yeah.
And the country can't survive if 100% of its tax revenue is going to pay China off.
Yeah.
What's going to fund our government? What's going to fund anything?
Yeah.
So the American people's money is going to go to China because we keep doing omnibus bills. We keep doing increased spending. Yeah. And it's not sustainable.
Yeah. And that's the thing. And it really sucks because, when I went to the nationaldebtclock.org, if they have a time machine button on there, if you look at, 2028, it's 46 trillion in debt, 1.4 trillion in interest. So I don't know where RFK gets his 5-year number, but because we pull in about a little bit more than 4 trillion in tax revenue every year. So, but either way, it's very, very concerning. Our debt is getting to be our number one item in our budget.
Oh, it is.
And so, my opponent talks about how the discretionary spending is only 23% of our budget. So it's really not that bad. We have to look at the mandatory spending, which we do. I agree.
We need to cut some spending in certain places. We don't.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm all for defunding the Department of Education.
Amen.
If you look at it,
$76 billion. Like
ever since it was established, basically test scores have gone down, and it's just so how is the Department of Education helping the American people? It's not.
Exactly, and it shouldn't be a centralized power.
No, it should
for
not.
Education. No, and with defunding the Department of Education, I am for continuing, Pell Grants and stuff. I think Pell Grants are very important.
Oh yeah.
And they do help some people in tough times, but we definitely need to get out of student loans. Like that was the worst decision in the Obama era. For the government to get into student loans.
Oh yeah, and then now Biden trying to forgive them, and that's just to get votes.
Yeah, he's buying votes. I think he's buying votes.
No, it really is. The Supreme Court said he can't do this, and he said, I'm going to do it anyways.
Yeah, but don't worry. It's the Democrats that are about respecting law and order, and respecting the Constitution.
It's not even that. Half the Republicans just sit back in Congress and do nothing. They allow this to happen. They don't use their subpoena power. They don't hold Biden accountable. They don't call anybody in. They just held, Merrick Garland in contempt of Congress. Yeah. But are they going to send the sergeant of arms to actually arrest him or do anything? No, they're just going to sign the letters and do political theater, and nothing actually gets done. And then we keep re-electing the same people who just sit there, do nothing, and our country slowly fails.
Yeah, and it's actually pretty amazing that Merrick Garland is still the Attorney General. Because if you look at past presidents, they have multiple Attorney Generals.
Usually.
And he is still with them, so it's I don't know, it reeks, it stinks.
So let's go with on to the next question. But Blake Moore, he has a bachelor's in behavioral science and a master's in public policy. People would say that would qualify him to be a congressman. What would you say your qualifications are? And I'm not trying to say you need a degree to be qualified. Yeah. I went to college for a degree. It was complete waste of time.
and my wife's a nurse, and so she went to college to get her degree, her bachelor. Well, she got an associate's and then she got a bachelor's. But that's the thing. When she was going to school, you're taking all of these classes that aren't really required. So
oh yes,
it's a huge money grab.
When it's California where I went to college, but I had to take capstone classes, race and racism, gender studies, and all of these classes that had nothing to do with my initial degree was biochemistry. Yeah. What does race and racism have to do with biochemistry?
Yeah. And so if I ever figured that I wanted to run for Congress, I would have had a different path in life. But I am who I am, and I'm not ashamed of it. And so I'm a foreman for my company right now, and I direct and delegate and all of the electricians under me, and I usually have anywhere between 1 to 20 electricians under me, that I'm trying to.
So you're more of a leader then.
Yeah.
Compared to, I guess, it's only been in there for a few years, but it doesn't seem Blake Moore really seeks leadership positions. Would you try to seek a leadership position at all in Congress?
He's in leadership right now, actually.
Oh, which leadership position?
So he's actually the co-chair, or the vice chair of the Republican conference.
Oh, okay.
So he took over Mike Johnson's spot.
Okay, I wasn't sure about that.
But about my qualifications and stuff. So and with being a foreman, I have to coordinate with all of these engineers, the architect sometimes. The owner of the building, all of the different contractors. So there's lots of coordination and lots of, administrative stuff in my job. And that's the thing, Congress, if I go to Congress, I'm not by myself. Mm-hmm. I'll have staff. There's researchers that I'll have at my disposal, legal counsel, there's other people that I'm going to be leaning on. I'm going to be learning. There's going to be a huge learning curve. Yeah, especially in the first year.
So with staffing, do you already have any ideas of who you would want to be on your staff? Okay.
No, I would have to go to the local universities that have, political science majors usually.
Okay, so you're not looking at hiring, let's say, the holdovers in DC to your office, like the people who were in, let's say you win, Blake Moore is out and a couple of his staff members stay. Are you going to take them onto your team, or are you
possibly? As far as his staff goes for his office here in Ogden, he just got an award for constituent services, and so which is a huge part of what your staff does here at home, and so if they're kicking butt here at home, why replace them? One thing that Blake Moore does really good at is he has a newsletter that goes out. I love his newsletter. Mm-hmm. I don't agree with what he says in it or his reasonings for voting for things, but it's a very good tool,
Yeah, to get the information out there.
Yeah, to talk to your voters, to talk to your constituents. And so whoever does his newsletter, I plan on keeping them for sure. It'll all be very fluid, once, if I get elected,
Because we went to the Tulsi Gabbard event at the Nixon Library a couple weeks ago, and someone asked about term limits. What's her opinion on it? And she's conflicted. She does agree with it partially, but she doesn't like the idea of not being able to continue electing someone who you like. If they do a good job, if they're a great candidate, why should they not be able to get elected again just because they've already been there 10 years? You got to choose someone new. And then also she mentioned how the congressman may change, but the staff stays. And so the lobbyist groups, they don't talk to the congressman. They talk to the staffers. And the staffers will do things behind the congressman's back because they know how Washington works and the new congressmen don't. So that she was saying, you can get rid of the congressman, but a lot of the times they keep the same staff, and those people know the ins and outs. They have all the connections to the lobbyist, and so all of the things you thought you were going to get rid of by electing a new congressman, it still continues, but behind the scenes because the current elected congressman doesn't know what their staff's doing.
Huh. I'm glad you told me that. I never would have thought of that.
Yeah, there's a lot of...
Yeah, there's a lot of... Yeah, I'm learning just as much as you are. Yeah, and so... But that's what I'm here for. I'm here to learn, and so I'm not going to know everything. I already know that.
And so it says you want to join the Freedom Caucus.
Yes, definitely. I love I love the Freedom Caucus. Yeah, they get a bad rap and they're kind of loud. So some of the members are kind of loud. But the principles that they embrace are what I'm about, right? Mm-hmm. They're when Matt Gaetz ousted Kevin McCarthy, right? Yeah. McCarthy wasn't fulfilling his promises.
No, not at all.
And that's the thing. We've let our politicians get away with lying to us.
Oh, America has normalized the corruption where you talk about politics to just anybody on the street, and corruption's always mentioned. Yeah. Every time. But it doesn't have to be. You don't have to elect corrupt people.
Yeah. And so if you're going to tell me you're going to do something, you better do it. Mm-hmm. And so it's the same for, when we elect congressmen or senators, if you're telling me that you're going to vote against, this or that, you better do it. With Blake Moore, he talks a really good game about reducing our deficit and controlling our debt. But what has he done? He, especially as far as this session of Congress, the 118th session of Congress, he's voted for every spending bill put in front of his face.
You go up on basically look at his record for what he votes, and it's just green yeses straight down into 5, 6, 10 pages in, and it's just yes on every single thing. And you can't vote yes on everything.
Yeah.
That's not normal at all.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if it's Ukraine funding, Israel funding, and so that's the thing, in my opinion, I think it's because, he's getting his piece of the pie.
Oh, he's playing politics.
Yeah, everybody else is getting their piece of the pie too. So he wants to make everybody happy. You know, we all got to work as a team, he says, and so and that's the thing. Like, you know, when you're there to, you know, get some of that government funding, you're gonna want to pass government funding.
So that was one of my questions I had, was if they try to kind of strong arm you, let's say you get elected to Congress and they're withholding funding for your district unless you vote on certain bills. Are you going to be willing to vote on those bills just to get the funding to your district? And if, let's say you do, are you going to be transparent about it and basically say, I didn't want to vote on it, but I needed funding for our district, so I had to vote for it. That was the only way.
Well, and you know, this is actually my biggest concern going there, because, you know, we have Hill Air Force Base in our district, right? Mm-hmm. And Hill Air Force Base is vital and critical for northern Utah. Like, so funding for Hill Air Force Base, yes, it's very important. I would hope that they wouldn't do something that stupid, because like Hill Air Force Base has state-of-the-art programs up there for the F-35, which the U.S. has invested a lot of money into the F-35 programs.
Oh, yes. There's the 3 different variants for all the different branches.
Yeah, and you get that with every, you know, fighter jet. And
yeah, but I know the F-35 is special.
Yeah, and then, you know, we have the Sentinel missile program, you know, where Northrop Grumman and our military contractors are doing the R&D, you know, the research and development on those, and so there's a lot of money tied to the military in Utah, and so, like, I'm not against government funding, and I'm not against military spending, but there's a lot of waste in all of our, like, in military spending. There's a lot of waste in, you know, the Department of Education. There's Health and Human Services. You know, like, there can be cuts nearly everywhere in the federal government, and that's what needs to happen.
So speaking of, like, military waste and whatnot, it's about 2010, 2011, my dad went over to Kuwait to work as a contractor to fix MRAPs and everything. When he came back, he told everyone they rounded everything to $1 million. If it cost $10, round it to $1 million. And he's like, when I left, they charged me for like multi-million dollars lost of equipment. It was all there. I didn't lose anything, but they charged the military millions of dollars for all this lost equipment. And it's just, what is going on? Why does it cost apparently $1 million per Humvee to put 4 tires on it?
Yeah.
But
yeah, and that's you know, when I look through the spending bills and stuff, like yesterday, I was looking through the omnibus bill and the minibus bills, right? The 2 that they just passed in April and March, and so, and that's the thing, like, when you see figures just rounded like that, you know, like,
why are you rounding up to $1 billion?
Yeah, and it's like, oh, well, we're just gonna, like, you know, in the omnibus bill there was this scholar rescue program, and they're giving $7 million per scholar. Well, there's 1,045 scholars in this scholar rescue program, so we just spent $7 billion on the scholar rescue program.
And what does the scholar rescue program do?
Exactly, and
we don't know. They just tell us we need it, and then give them money.
They're not even they're not even all in the United States. And there was another thing where, you know, where we're paying for higher education in foreign nations, and it was upwards of $922 million, so almost $1 billion.
Just with the Ukraine funding, we're paying for pensions in Ukraine.
Yeah.
Why are we paying for government pensions in Ukraine?
Exactly.
Like, what is the point of that?
Yeah, and while I don't want Ukraine to lose, like, nobody wants Ukraine to lose.
Yeah.
Like, and nobody wants Putin to win. Nobody's pro-Putin. Like, we just don't have money for anything
Most
anymore.
Americans are more... We have a problem on our own border. We have all these other problems here. Why are we sending hundreds of billions of dollars to a country that's not even close to us?
Yeah,
it's on the border of Russia. It's had a history with Russia going back hundreds of years. If the EU has a problem with it, the EU can figure it out. This is not an American issue.
Yeah, and you know, like, and even concerning our southern border, why are we paying for all of these immigrant hotels? Why are we paying for their food? Why are we paying for their transportation? You know, like, why is that worthwhile? But yet you let all of our veterans, our homeless and disabled veterans, like, rot.
Our homelessness is getting out of control. You go look at Veterans Affairs, like, they can't even get the care they need.
Yeah, why can't we take care of those that have fought for our country?
I will never understand how someone who signed up to go die for this country, basically, you look at it and they get paid less than minimum wage for most of the time.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing, like, and there's, you know, and the ones that are disabled, you have to be, I think it was 50% was the threshold. Mm-hmm. Like, you have to be over 50% disabled to get any sort of compensation from the government. And so so like there's a lot of tweaks that we need to make for that. Like, if you're disabled and you fought for our country, like, just fighting for our country is a big deal. And so, like, there's, like, you know, I just went to a memorial on Memorial Day, a memorial service for the Borgstrom brothers, and they were out of Thatcher, Utah, so it's a really small town. And so these 5 brothers were sent off to World War II. Well, only one brother came home. And so, like, when you hear stories of that, I'm very hesitant, you know, to vote to send our military out. I don't want my neighbor to lose their son or daughter, which,
well, yeah, especially with now they just are trying to draft women. And
no, they can.
Well, I know, like,
Blake Moore voted for it.
Yeah, I know it passed the House. And it's just like, what is this? Why are we trying to draft women? What's going on?
And just so you know, Blake Moore voted against that bill, but they snuck it into military spending, so they passed it with that military spending bill. So while he says that he voted for it, he still voted for it in the military spending.
I will never understand basically just, people didn't like this bill, let's just add it to another bill, and then
they add it to military spending.
Yeah.
And with the omnibus and minibus bills, like, if you look at the minibus bill, there's Department of Defense spending in there with veterans, the VA, and something else. But so there's Department of Defense spending in the minibus bill, right? Mm-hmm. So, you know, politicians like Blake Moore will vote for it and say, well, I voted for this because of Hill Air Force Base. Mm-hmm. You know, and so I voted for it to support our military. And then you go to the omnibus bill, right? The omnibus bill has military appropriations, and it's what funds, like,
the entire
main military,
everything,
the main military. And so then when Blake Moore votes for it, I voted for military spending. I voted to support Hill Air Force Base, right? Mm-hmm. And so here he is saying that he's voting for Hill Air Force Base, but what were all the negatives that you compromised, you know? And I tried to ask him this during the debate. What was the most negative piece of funding in the omnibus bill?
Did did he have any problem with, I don't think it's any recent ones, but I know in old ones, like gender studies in Afghanistan. Like,
yes.
Why are we funding things like this?
Yes.
Like, do you have a problem with that?
Yeah, it was Pakistan, but
Pakistan, yes, that was it.
But I remember that one. Yeah. And I remember reading it in the bill, and it was just like, your jaw just hits the floor, and it's just like, and I want to say it was during Nancy Pelosi's
Yes, no,
term.
it was. I believe it was the bill. When someone asked her what was in it, her response was, well, we have to pass the bill to find out what's in the bill.
Yeah.
And you wrote it. Like, yes. You're the House. You're supposed to write the bills. What do you mean you don't know what's in it?
Yeah, and that's the thing. And when Kevin McCarthy was in 2023, Kevin, like, when they asked what was in the bill when Kevin McCarthy, was discussing it, with Chuck Schumer and Joe Biden, like, he had admitted that he only read 11% of the bill, and it's like, you brought it to the floor and you only know 11% of what's in it?
Well, most of the time they only have 3 days or less to even read the bill, and it's like 2,000 pages long.
Yeah, but when you're negotiating it, I would hope that you would know.
You're the Speaker of the House. You're the one that's supposed to be negotiating this. Yeah. I read 11%. Well, I guess it's better than 10, but come on.
And he has increased staff for being the Speaker of the House. Like, you have a lot more staff when you're the Speaker.
Well, and at the same time, Pelosi still had the Speaker's office when he was Speaker, so was he really the Speaker? Or was
did she? Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah, at least from what I saw, he never kicked her out of the Speaker's office. It was, I believe, when McHenry was temporary Speaker, he kicked her out of the Speaker's office. Huh. And so, McCarthy, why didn't you get her? Why didn't you take the office? What is going on? What deal did you make with her where she got to keep the office?
Yeah, and so that's like it's. Yeah, it's very frustrating. Politics is very frustrating.
No, I agree. And then I don't know if you've heard the story. It's come out recently, but Matt Gaetz talks about when he first got elected, he wanted to be on, I believe, the Veterans Affairs Committee.
Yeah.
And when he sat down with leadership, they told him that'll be $75,000. You need to raise $75,000 for, I believe it's the RCC or NCC?
The NRCC, National Republican Congressional Committee.
Yeah. He had to raise $75,000 for them if he wanted a seat on the committee.
And this isn't the first time I've heard about this. Mm-hmm. So there's a guy I use for marketing, and he'll say, he's told me, like, listen, they have polling where they know if someone's going to lose an election or not. And so like Blake Moore right now, what's it called? Fundraises a lot of money for the NRCC. Mm-hmm. And so if that's ever in jeopardy, the NRCC will dump money into that candidate that fundraises a lot of money for him.
I mean, where do you think he gets the $1 million from PAC? It's like, who are these PACs? Why are they giving him $1 million? What is he doing?
Yeah, and so that's the thing. Like, and that's what that's another concern that I have. Like if I can't fundraise, because the marketing guy was saying, if you can't fundraise $1 to $1.5 million for the NRCC, then they don't want you, and they will actively campaign for one of your opponents to get you out. Mm-hmm. And that's what's wrong with our government right now.
Because it's about them getting money for themselves.
Yeah.
From what Matt Gaetz was saying, apparently to be in a leadership position, you need to be bringing in $60 to $100 million a year for the NRCC. And
really?
Yeah. So apparently Kevin McCarthy, as Speaker of the House, he was bringing in $60 to $100 million a year for him.
That is insane.
And it's like, how much time do you spend fundraising for these people instead of actually doing your job?
Exactly. Like, why? Like, and that's the thing. There's so much money tied to everything in DC. Everything.
Oh, and that's one of the biggest complaints I hear when it comes to we need to make a change. People say we can't. They control all the money, all the corporations, all the foreign interests, the lobbyist groups. And it's just, how I think about it is you look at the 2020 election, you take 10% of those people, that's 15 million people. 15 million people donating $25 a month, $4.5 billion a year. That is more than enough money to compete. Yeah. But you just have to get people to care and want to actually see a change. But you look at statistics, and the average American doesn't ever donate to any political cause. They don't. They don't donate to a political candidate. I mean, I'm not sure. From what I've seen on Open Secrets, you've only raised a few $1,000s, at least reported on Open Secrets.
I've probably spent $10,000, and I've probably raised 6 of that.
Yeah.
And so I probably have 4 on a credit card, and so I wasn't willing to get a loan against my house or anything like that. People do that, though.
No, I know, but I'm just saying it shouldn't come down to, I want to try to make a difference, I need to basically risk my house just because I want to try to run for Congress. Yeah. And that's why I created my organization. I want to see a change. I want to have an organization that can put money behind people like you. Yeah. The average everyday American who decides, I want to run for election. I want to see a difference. But yet, you guys don't have the money. You guys don't have the resources. You don't have the reach. The RNC and the DNC have all the money. They have all the resources. They have the influence. And they basically handpick who they want.
Yeah. Well, and that's and it's really foolish that this pay to play scheme that that they run with, and and the corruption with all of the money and everything, because with all of this government spending and with all of this money paying, buying people's influence everywhere, and their vote, it's bankrupting our nation. It really is. And so what's going to happen when our money isn't worth anything anymore?
It's already not worth much.
We're not far off from the value of the US dollar collapsing.
Well, that's why a lot of people think Ukraine is being pushed so hard, basically to keep Russia out of the energy market so that the American petrodollar actually has value. Because if Russia takes over the energy market, America's money is going to start losing a lot of value because our money is backed by the oil in the Middle East. If no one needs the oil in the Middle East because Russia has more and it's cheaper, no one's going to buy it from the Middle East. That's where all our money is, and then America loses all of its value.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. It's very complex, when you start talking about, the macroeconomics and stuff. And so...
a lot of people bring up, we used to be backed by the gold. We don't have the gold standard anymore. Yeah, we definitely should. We need to have some standard of what our money is backed by.
It will be a lot more stable if we're backed by precious metals and not the petrodollar and not, these unknown people on the Fed, deciding, if interest rates are going up or not, And so...
I believe Thomas Massey introduced a bill to abolish the Fed.
Yep, and Mike Lee did too.
Yes.
And so, and I'm a huge fan of Mike Lee, I don't support everybody that he's endorsed, but 90% of them. There's probably one guy I didn't like, but Trump is the same way. I'm pro-Trump. And
I saw he endorsed, what was it?
Celeste Malloy.
Yeah, in the 2nd District.
Yeah.
And a lot of people were very upset by that.
My jaw dropped. Because, which I am not in favor of, because Celeste Malloy is voting nearly the exact same as Blake Moore. Someone that's cheering on the establishment, cheering on the Uniparty, voting with them. And she's brand new. She doesn't fully know what she might not fully know what she's doing in Congress. But if your voting is this bad and you're just starting out, there needs to be change.
Well, that's...
I really like Colby Jenkins. Colby Jenkins is endorsed by Mike Lee, which is funny.
Yeah, no, I saw that.
Mike Lee and Trump are really good friends, so it's funny that friends are endorsing, opponents.
Trump listens to the wrong people sometimes in his circle.
Yeah, he does.
The establishment people whisper in his ear, and he wants the support of the establishment because he needs it to actually be president. Yeah. But my concern is if he helps all the establishment people win re-election, what's stopping them from impeaching him day one?
Yeah.
They can impeach him day one. They can convict him. They can do the exact same for whoever his VP is. And then they can install whether it be Mike Johnson or Hakeem Jeffries into the presidency. And it's just, okay, if we keep re-electing the same establishment politicians, what's stopping them from doing this in Trump's second term?
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, and that's why it's important that, not only, do voters in the 1st District need to wake up and see what's happening, voters all across the nation.
No, I agree.
And Utah is very blessed as far as, the Republican Party pushing for the caucus convention system, where we have, the signature gathering of, SB 54 that negates a lot of the work that we do at convention, because it allows those with money to pay for their signatures. They pay for people to go get the signatures for them. And then they have all of this money, just like John Curtis, right now, I think it was, don't quote me on this, $15 million in campaign funds for his Senate campaign, which is all backed by all of the PACs and all of that. And so, they are buying his way onto the ballot and buying, his victory. And that's the thing. He's going to be beholden and, to all of those donors and all of those PACs.
So, just so far, the last 2 times Blake Moore has ran, he hasn't gotten first in the convention.
No.
But yet, when it comes to the primary, he wins.
Yeah.
And so the people who actually listen to what the messages are, they seem to not want Blake Moore. And then when it comes to the primary, he's the one with all the money.
Yes.
He's the one that can put the billboards out or get his message out there more.
Yeah. Man, why do you got to say more sometimes? But, no, I'm just kidding.
No, I understand.
It's impossible not to use that word.
Well, on one of the little things I made, it was, more is not always good. Basically, more is for more spending, more wars, more corruption.
And that's what I love about the caucus convention system is, we go to caucus, it was March 5th this year, and this is everybody in the neighborhood, that's active in politics. Mm-hmm. They go to the caucus night, and we all elect delegates. There's county delegates that vote for the county seats, and there's state delegates that vote for the federal and statewide races, right? And so these delegates take their job very seriously. And before convention, it was easy to get people to come to events because you just had to advertise to the delegates, or market to the delegates, those really small group of people, and they would show up. Mm-hmm. Most of them would show up. And, they ask you, why you're running, what stances are you for, and stuff like that. And this is where they learned, I'm against Blake because he keeps voting for these stupid spending bills, and he's not doing anything for the deficit. And, or he's voted for this, he's voted for women in the draft, and so they become very highly informed. They can look all of this stuff up themselves because they have the information now. They just need to look it up. Mm-hmm. And so these are highly informed voters and people very passionate about the Republican Party. And so when you go to convention, it's going to be people that are going to vote, for somebody that's more Republican leaning or somebody that honestly just needs to get voted out.
Yes.
And so which is, if you get both of those, that's why I got, almost 55% at convention. They realize that Blake needs to come out. They realize that they need someone with, more conservative Republican ideals. And that's why I did so well at convention. But the primary is a different thing because the primary is low information voters.
It's low information voters, and a lot of the time it's low turnout. A lot of people don't turn out for the primaries.
Yeah, well, and they turn out a lot more now that there's the universal mail-in voting. But according to the data that I have, it's 50%. 50% of Republicans turn in their ballot for the primary. And so anyway, so it's, and a lot, I have the opinion that a lot of these people are voting because they get that that ballot in the mail.
If they had to actually go in person to show up on election day, they wouldn't be voting.
Yeah, and people that are passionate, and which is funny because people that are passionate about voting and actually pay attention to politics are the ones that are going to show up on that voting day. And it sucks to take away the voices of Americans, but like, if you're not paying attention and you're letting the media influence you, like, that's the thing. Like, I've gone to the media about, you know, the negative things about Blake Moore and how they can investigate it and look it up. Silence from the media. Nothing. And so, but what does the media do? The media will go and they will run any article in favor of Blake Moore that he wants. And so, you know, like him talking about balancing the budget, him talking about like military spending or something, you know, and, you know, all of the things that we've got for Hill Air Force Base, you know, and so they'll run it. They don't care. Like, and so I don't know if it's, you know, I'm, you know, a far right candidate or, you know, and so they want to influence, you know, the more moderate candidate or one that, you know, plays into the pay to play scheme, you know.
I'll never understand the far right. They label people far right and, oh, Trump supporter, far right. You don't believe in climate change, far right. They will label you as far right as a slur to try to get people to not listen to you. Yeah, well, and the national media, well, even local media, you're an extremist, you know, if you denied the election, or you're an extremist if you did this, like that. They love that word too, and so that's the thing, like. We need people to pay attention. Like if you're not paying attention, like go look at a scorecard. Like Blake Moore on the Freedom Index, you know, has a 64% overall. Like I think it's 50% for this 118th session of Congress, but a 64% overall. If you got a 64% in school, that's a D. You know, like, do we really want to reelect somebody that's a D? You know, that's getting a D, and so. And so it gets really frustrating, you know, like we can do better. Oh, I agree, but nobody wants to really do better. Okay, so Liberty score, Representative Blake Moore, Utah, it says C, 71%. Yeah. But that is, I think, and what's a Liberty one? Are they kind of more moderate? I'm not sure. It just says Liberty score powered by a conservative review. Oh, okay. I know. I believe Andy Biggs has like 100% Liberty score. Does he? Yeah, on here. Yeah, and it was funny. There's like the Freedom Works. So Freedom Works has one, and Blake Moore has like a 16.7%. And I posted it on Facebook, and Blake Moore's brother gets on and he goes, "Dude, you can't use that. That's not accurate." And it's like. And so he's like, "Look at Ilhan Omar. She has an 88%. And I'm like, "Wow." And I'm like, "Okay, yeah, I won't use that one." Like, but Mike Lee had like 91%. So I'm like, I know Mike Lee really does have really good votes. You know, when you follow Mike Lee is actually one of the few people in the Senate that actually seems to care. But I mean, I believe I was looking at... and he was a mistake. The establishment were against him. Mm-hmm. So because he replaced Bob Bennett, and that's the thing. Like we need like these grassroots people. No, we do. And so you know, look at how Mike Lee votes. Like look at Jim Jordan. Jim Jordan was a mistake, or not Jim Jordan. Rand Paul. You know, Rand Paul was a grassroots guy. You know, like a non-establishment guy, non-uniparty, and so like. When you get people, like when you vote out the establishment and vote out the uniparty, you actually get votes that actually are for sustainability for our country. Well, and then you look at it and it's like the ones who have the grassroots support, the ones that aren't supported by the uniparty, they seem to be the ones that the constituents love the most. They seem to have the best approval ratings. You look at Matt Gaetz, and he's one of the top fundraisers in Congress, and he basically says, "Screw the uniparty. I do whatever I want. My constituents give me money." Yeah, and I'm pretty sure he doesn't take PAC money. No, he doesn't. And that's what people ask me too. They were like, "Are you going to take PAC money?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't want to." But it's like, but if I want to try to win, depending on the PAC, maybe I can. It depends on why I'm getting the money. Yes, no, I understand that. And so I don't believe that you should be getting paid. To push any sort of legislation. Like it's either good for America and it's good legislation, or it's bad. Mm-hmm. Like you shouldn't like, and I understand that, you know, they want to donate to your campaign because you're doing a good job, but
I don't know, sometimes, like, the optics of it look really bad sometimes.
No, I agree. Like, if you get all of your money's coming from PACs, it looks really bad. Like, why aren't your constituents donating to you? Why is all the money coming from all of these lobbyist groups or PACs or Israel PACs? And it's,
the AI PAC, and the one that's in my race, is with Blake Moore. He gets paid nearly $50,000 when he votes for a military spending bill by one company, and so through individual contributions, and so it's like, that doesn't look good, and that reeks of corruption.
Yeah.
Like,
well, again, like, why is his number one ES3 Inc. $52,000, but total? But individuals donated 42,000 of that, and just like,
yeah, exactly.
Something's weird there. So like, all of these individuals working for this company all just decided to give him money.
Yeah, and that's the thing, and it's like, and it happens every time there's a military spending bill. Like, I don't know. And so, and it's funny because, like, if you look at his, like, when I studied his campaign financing, like, and I looked at other members of Congress too, but when they vote for a military spending bill, you get these employees of Lockheed Martin, employees of General Dynamics, because military contractors can't donate, but their employees can.
Oh, yeah.
And so every time that they do vote for a military spending bill, these PACs, these employees of Lockheed Martin PACs, are donating, $1,000 or $2,000 to every member of Congress that voted for that spending bill. And so, like, which it's kind of concerning, but it's not as concerning because it's only $1 or $2 grand.
Yeah,
it's not 50 grand, this huge punch of money, like.
But still, like, why are all these military companies constantly paying our congressmen to vote?
Yeah. Why are they paying for influence? And it's like, if you're so good, and if you're the best military contractor that we should keep, why are you paying for influence? Why are you paying, are you paying to, guarantee contracts? Because, you use Elon Musk as an example, and SpaceX. NASA doesn't use their own rockets anymore.
No.
Like, when NASA was shooting, rockets up, it was, $28 billion to do that. Yeah. Elon Musk is doing it for $3 billion.
I believe Elon Musk SpaceX is up to, I think, 90% of, like, all space, like, cargo sent to space goes through SpaceX.
All of the space industry, yeah. And because they do it for so cheap, and their rockets, come back down, and they reuse it.
Well,
and
aren't we still waiting on didn't the Artemis project get delayed again for NASA?
Yeah.
What are we doing here?
Yeah, and so, like, and I liked Tesla before, but now that Elon Musk has bought Twitter, and now that he's so pro First Amendment, like, I am a huge Elon Musk fan. Like, and especially with him in the news lately, with Brazil and the EU. The EU's trying to come after him and say, you have to censor speech. You have to do this. And with Brazil and the Supreme Court.
Like, that's hilarious.
And he's like, no, I'm not going to do that. You can go pack sand. Like, I don't want your money. Like, that's fine.
Yeah,
if I lose my revenue in Brazil, that's fine. Like, this is worth more than money.
I forget what it was when he was on stage, and basically he was like, "You're gonna try to blackmail me with money? Go F yourself."
Yeah,
I love it.
I know, and that's what we need in government.
We do,
and so we need patriots like that, and so ever since then is. I'm a huge proponent of Elon Musk, and that's the thing. If he can do it better, let's do it. Like, why are we holding ourselves back for to be the best country in the world? Like, we should strive to be the best. That's what America was founded upon. Let's be the best. Let's have the best laws. Let's have the most freedom. Let's and so, like, we need that upward mobility in the military, and so, because I feel like I'm a huge proponent. Like, I talk a lot about military spending Blake Moore voting for military spending, and it sounds bad, but I am very pro, funding our military. I am very pro the research and development for our military. I think that research and development and our military technology keeps us in peace, in the world. And so, and it's also why we keep as like we're still the superpower of the world. And so I want to be the best. I want that R&D. I want that innovation. And so, but I don't want, the military industrial complex to pay their way into these contracts. I want it to be earned. Like, it has to be a merit-based system, not a corruption-based system. And so, and I'll get punished for that if I get elected. I'm not gonna lie, but a lot of my stances, I am anti-corruption. Like we need to clean it up.
Well, a lot of your stances are just basically common sense, normal, just average, everyday American beliefs. We need to get rid of the corruption. We need to actually care about what's going on. We need to fix what in Washington.
Yeah, we do, and and it sucks. I'm only going to be one out of 435 members in the House, and so that's the thing. America needs to wake up. They need to start researching. If you're voting, in the primaries, Arizona has theirs in July.
Yeah,
and look up who they're funded. Because if they have a lot of PAC money behind them, they're probably part of the establishment in the Uniparty. And, and they're not really voting to benefit America. They're voting to benefit themselves.
Oh, every single time.
And so, because like we were saying about the NRCC, they need to, earn those fundraising dollars, so that way they get that clout and they get those positions on committees.
Who are these people giving hundreds of millions of dollars every year to the NRCC? Yeah. It's corporations, military-industrial complex, foreign governments, the lobbyist groups, and it's just, why are they getting to choose who gets elected? What? I don't understand that. I will never understand how the American people just basically sit back and allow, the military-industrial complex said this is a good person to vote for. Yeah. I'm going to vote for them too.
Yeah.
Wait, I thought you were against the military-industrial complex.
And I don't know if it's just because I'm running in office, this year, and so I'm more aware of it. But man, it seems like there's a lot of endorsements coming out from politicians. Mike Lee's endorsed a lot of people, and I didn't think that he's endorsed people before. And I know Donald Trump's always endorsed people, and so that was expected, but. And you got our governor, do you guys normally live in Utah?
No, I'm from California.
Oh, okay. So our governor, Spencer Cox, he's endorsing people while he's elected. And so it's just kind of really interesting, to see but to me, it opens up my eyes because I'm these are the establishment candidates.
Well, yeah.
And so for me, as somebody that wants that neutrality, I try and steer away from those types of people.
Well, yeah. Again, I've heard Spencer Cox, there's a lot of corruption complaints against him for things that he's done, and it's just okay if the guy that's basically getting investigated for corruption is saying these are all the people I want elected.
Yeah.
Maybe those people are going to be on his side. Maybe they're going to be protecting him. He wants them in office so that he's protected.
Yeah, and one major thing that came out this past year was he wanted to appoint the Attorney General, the state auditor, and something else. Oh, and the treasurer. And so... But that's the thing, the Attorney General is the biggest check against the governor, to make sure that he's doing what he's supposed to. And the same with the auditor. The auditor is making sure that the money's getting spent in the right places. So if you practically own those positions, you can get away with anything. And anybody that's willing to do that and want that is not looking for Utah's best interest. And so... And don't get me wrong, Spencer Cox is an amazing speaker. He sounds very, very slick. Really good speaker. But that's how they get you.
No, it is. It's you look good, you speak good, and things like that, where it's just, oh, the guy that stumbles over his words, or he doesn't have a great haircut, I don't think he's the best choice. Yeah. And it's just, okay, but what are they actually doing? Look at their actions, not the words.
Yeah. And, with Utah being, so right-leaning, and Republican, like, why is a Republican governor designating June every year as Pride Month, on official Utah letterhead, and so I don't know. There's a lot of things that make you go,
Well, it's just something's going on that the establishment uniparty is telling people what to do, what to say, and if they want to keep their jobs, they fall in line.
Yeah.
And they care more about keeping their jobs because that's where my income comes in. What if I lose election? What am I going to do?
Well, yeah, and not that I'm a fan of Mitt Romney, but Mitt Romney, like my brother made me read this excerpt from Mitt Romney's book, and so I read it to entertain it, his opinion. And Mitt Romney was saying how there's a lot of people in the Senate, that just get reelected because it's their validation, and there's a lot of perks that you get fancy dinners, you get fancy events, like you're living like you could live a good life, like when you have that much power in Washington D.C.
Well, and it's not even just that. It's a lot of these career politicians, they've never actually held a real job. This is all they know how to do. So if they aren't an elected official, they don't know how to do anything else. Yeah. How are they going to make money? Yeah. How are they going to survive? Like, the only thing I've known how to do is be an elected official.
Well, and it's just, I would bet money that they would become a lobbyist.
Well, no, and that's one of the things we need to change is how these people, once they get out of office, they become lobbyists. And then they start working for these corporations or foreign interest, telling them, well, this is how Washington works. If you want your bill to get passed, you need to talk to these people or go to this person and whatnot. Yeah. And they're getting paid millions of dollars to basically spill the inside secrets of how to corrupt Washington, D.C.
Yeah, well, and, because once you're in politics and once you're in, once you're a politician, you have an amazing contact list or Rolodex, like you have donors' phone numbers, you have, people in government agencies' phone numbers. So you're very resourceful, to a company or, or even for lobbying, So.
Yeah, well, I believe that's going to be most of the questions I had. I was just inviting you here to speak to you, regular person, see what you're trying to do, why you're running, and hopefully try to get this video out there so more people can hear what you want to do, why you're running, and hopefully we can unseat Blake more.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm very in favor of that. But so I'm Paul Miller, and I would appreciate your vote come June 25th or sooner if you do mail-in voting. And thank you so much for your support.
If you support my organization, if you want to see me on the ground in Arizona, if you want to see, not me personally, but I have contacts in Tennessee on the ground for the August 1st primary, please donate. We want to make a difference. We want to make a change. The only way we can do that was the support of the American people. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoyed this conversation. Let's see if the button works.